Jerry Douglas. Happy New Year to you. It's delightful to have you here, and look at the squad we have put together today as we get you ready for college game day this morning. They'll be getting you ready for the trifecta of games that we have. You see Joey, you see Josh, you see Jordan. We got the theme working with the Jays. And 2026, here we go. We pick it up with the game of the night last night. North Texas, what a game. Carson Beck in Miami taking on Julian Sayin and Ohio State. Miami owned the first quarter, went right down the field early, fumbled in the red zone, got it back, went right down the field, and this time gorgeous play.
Just great job by the offensive coordinator, Shannon Dawson. Everyone is thinking run, including the Ohio State Buckeyes defense. Nope, it's a pass for a touchdown to the running back.
7-zip Miami. Then Ohio State gets one big play to get in scoring position, and then this one turns everything.
One mistake, Greeny, that Jeremiah Smith made last night. You cannot allow this. You have to block that defender. Next thing you know, it's a pick six for the Miami Hurricanes.
Keontae Scott going 72 yards the other way, looking at the Ohio State bench as he goes. Ryan Day can't believe it. 14-0 just like that. Next Ohio State drive. How about this pass rush from the Hurricanes?
All night long. 12 sacks in the college football playoffs. Seven against Texas A&M. 5 last night versus Ohio State. Relentless, physical, fast, arrive at the ball carrier, a.k.a. the quarterback with bad intention.
That's Akeem Mesidor. Ruben Bain also was going crazy last night, so that defensive front dominant. 6 seconds left in the half. Ohio State from 49 yards. Jaden Fielding, it's no good. And so it's 14-0 Miami at the half. Third quarter, same score. It's Sayin trying to get something going. Jeremiah Smith, he's the best player in the country. 23 yards, and they're in position, and that would set up this. Finally, Bo Jackson, Ohio State's in the end zone.
Well, I've heard Bo Jackson for a touchdown a lot in my days.
Yes, that's right. Used to be for Auburn. Now Ohio State cuts the deficit in half. 4 minutes left in the third. Miami on a 3rd and 9. You want to talk about a fortuitous bounce. Look at this thing go right back to Malachi Tony.
Like, this is crazy. Caleb Downs with a nice hit, forces the fumble. Malachi Tony with hardly any effort just picks it up with one hand and continues to run the football.
Critical because they turned that into a field goal, so it's 17-7. Now, a minute left in the third. Ohio State driving. That's Smith. Again, they're in scoring position. Flip the field because it's the fourth quarter, but it's the same drive. This is a 4th and 2. Where are you going? Of course you're going to Jeremiah Smith. He had 7 catches, 157 yards, and that touchdown. It's 17-14. Here come the Buckeyes. Next Miami drive. Chewing clock. 3rd and 3. Check out Tony on this play. Seems to be lined up in the neutral zone. No flag called, and Beck converts for the first down.
Well, number one, I love smart football players. Understanding the entire play, who he has to pick. He runs his guy into the defender. Next thing you know, the running back is scot-free for a first down.
That was Shamar Brown, and so is this for 13 yards, and the Hurricanes are in business. Clock ticking down in that fourth quarter. Under 2 minutes to go. This is a 3rd and 4. This was a critical play.
Yeah, I thought Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator for Miami, was phenomenal all night long on 3rd downs. Big screen call right there for a first down. Guys blocking, selling out their bodies.
Michael Irvin could feel it, and so Ohio State has to let them score here or the clock is going to run out. So it's 24-14. Now it's desperation time for the Buckeyes. Under a minute to play. Julian Sayin's going to throw up a prayer, and it is not going to be answered. That's a pick. That is it. That is all. A hurricane blows through North Texas, and Miami is on to the semifinals after a resounding win in the college football playoff. Mario Cristobal, classy in victory.
Hats off to them, first and foremost, Coach Day and his team. Awesome. But hats off to our guys for being some tough-ass sons of b****s.
Yeah, this is all I got. This is what I've lived for my whole entire life. You know, when you get in these big-time moments, you fall back on your preparation, and when, you know, the moment calls up, you rise to it.
We put ourselves behind the 8 ball. We worked really hard during the last 3 weeks leading up to this game to come out of the gates and win the first quarter, win the first half, be ready to go. I thought we had an excellent plan on that, and what we did, I think the guys bought into it, but at the end of the day, we didn't get it done, and that starts with me.
Okay, put your feet up. We've got lots of time to dive into all of this. Joey Galloway is with us. Josh Pate is with us. But Jordan Rogers, as the one person who on this show picked Miami to win yesterday, I will give you the first comment. What's your number one takeaway from the Hurricanes' win last night over Ohio State?
Yeah, let me toot my own horn real quick, even though I'll probably go 0 for 3 today. But look, the biggest takeaway for me had to be first the physicality of Miami's defense. I mean, Ruben Bain, Mesidor, Jacoby Thomas on the back end, they were flying around, hitting Ohio State all over the field. But my biggest takeaway, thing I was most impressed about, Carson Beck. his ability to just manage the game, not take those chances that we've seen in Carson Beck's past, forcing the football down the field. He was completely content playing small ball when he needed to, and also making quick decisions, taking off a few times and picking up first downs with his legs, putting his shoulder down, knowing exactly where the first down marker was to pick up some tough yards, and especially late in the game. In the fourth quarter, there was a third down. Everybody was talking about the 1-2 C.J. Daniels. The wheel route that he hit on the back shoulder to the running back was massive to keep this drive alive and to close out the game. This is a tough throw. We saw this earlier. I love the precision, and to put that on the back hip, the only place that could have been completed. Beck was fantastic. He was accurate, he was surgical, and he didn't turn the football over. Didn't matter that he only threw for 138 yards. That's the Carson Beck that can take them to a national championship.
They gave them exactly what they needed in this game, as he had a week and a half before. Josh Pate, your number one takeaway from Miami's win?
I'm going to go a 1B because the 1A is exactly what Jordan Rodgers said there. Let me add on to it. It's really funny when you look at the stat line. If I showed it to you the morning of the game and someone told you Beck's going to throw for 138 tonight, there would be people who thought, oh, guaranteed Ohio State win. That's not necessarily the case because that's not necessarily what it called for Carson Beck to do last night. I thought one of the weirdest things coming into this game is anyone who fundamentally thought Miami was going to get blown out thought that because they viewed Carson Beck as a weakness, and it's because they had like 1 week's history in their mind. And that A&M game, for many reasons we talked about yesterday, I didn't think had a ton of carryover. That's point one. Point two is Miami made the critical error early in the game. So they turned the ball over down in the red zone. And that's another thing where if we talked about that yesterday morning, we would have thought, well, that's certainly something they can't afford to do. There's no way Miami giving the ball up in the red zone. They got to take advantage of every scoring opportunity. And they didn't. I also thought they had a really weird overturned call that was so bad even Greeny called it out on Twitter last night. So we got all that going against Miami. I thought there were a few DPIs that got missed, and they still overcame that. And they forced Ohio State to work to earn everything, which is what Indiana did. 11 plays on one of Ohio State's touchdown drives, 10 plays on another one. I think they forced double-digit plays on the missed field goal opportunity, and the first Ohio State touchdown was a huge fourth down conversion to Smith. So if you make them work to beat you like that, and they do, you tip your cap to them, I think Miami found themselves in a pretty desirable position given the flow of that game last night.
As I go to Joey Galloway, let me for this morning first and quickly just shout out his commitment to the program for the second consecutive morning in Los Angeles. He's got a 3 o'clock wake-up call so we can come on and do our show, and we appreciate it very much. Joey, obviously you're an Ohio State legend. What is your, from the Ohio State side of things yesterday, how do you explain what you saw in that game last night?
Well, I think the first half was perfectly what Miami planned. Their defensive line dominated, getting 3 sacks, making the Ohio State offense look uncomfortable, making Julian Sand look uncomfortable. Didn't know where the rush was coming from. Those guys were getting there. And then they get a pick 6. And so now it's 14-0, and this game feels like Miami is outplaying them tremendously. And they get to halftime, and they came out in the second half, and it was huge to start running the football. And I said before, the way you slow down this pass rush is run the football at them, and that worked for them in the second half. But now they just need a couple stops. They need to stop Miami's ability to run the football, which, you know, for the second game in a row, the ability to run the football for Miami has been the key to their offense. And you get to the end of a game when you need to get stops, when you need to get the ball back, stop the clock, give yourself a chance, and they run the football all the way down to a point where you have to let them score. Now you're in trouble. But if you're looking at this and you're Ohio State, I think you go back and you say, boy, I wish we would have run the ball more in the first half than just come out and make that adjustment in the second half. And give Miami all the credit in the world. Carson Beck was 14 of 18 in the first half. He completed 14 complete passes against Texas A&M in the entire game. I think what Carson Beck did in that game was, and again, and Josh has mentioned, it wasn't the 138 yards. It was the way it was done. It was the timely fashion of when he needed to make a play to move the chains. The way he played in that game now makes Miami look like a team that can win it all, because the weak link that when you watch them play, when they lose games, was Carson Beck turning the ball over. Now he's gone 2 straight games without turning it over, and so they've won those football games. The way he's playing makes them look like a favorite.
And Harry, as I turn to you here, and for those who are not aware, Harry covers college football for us all year long, part of College Game Day and all the rest of that stuff. So some things, I use this expression a lot, some things are excuses and other things are reasons. Ohio State's last game before this was played on December 6th. Teams that have the bye in the college football playoff are now 0-5. Now, there'll be 3 more games today, and all that could completely flip. That narrative could change today. But do you think, Ryan Day in his pregame interview right before they went on the air was saying, we've worked very hard because we want to be able to hit the ground running fast. And you could see they just didn't look ready to play when it starts. It's a 25-day layoff. Harry, what impact do you think that has, not just last night, but on the fact that these teams with byes are now 0-5?
I think what showed up last night was the physicality part, right? You see the Ohio State defense and the entire football team not be the more physical football team, and Miami really brought the fight to them. They didn't bring the fight to Miami. I think it's something, as time passes, that we have to look at. This long layover for teams that have byes, I do believe that now that they're at a disadvantage, this is 5 games in a row, dating back to last year, the 4 teams that had the byes, and then now Ohio State, in which they all lost those football games. But, you know, at the end of the day, though, even though it's the physical part, this is a situation where you're trying to repeat as champions.
Yeah.
And I agree with Joey, too. I do believe Ryan Day put his young quarterback in a bad situation coming out trying to pass the football, knowing that pass rush for Miami is so ferocious. I look at games like SMU that Miami lost.
Yes.
I look at games versus Louisville that they lost. And I thought both of those teams did a good job of using Miami's aggressiveness against them. I didn't think Ohio State did that last night.
All right, everybody stay where you are. We have all morning to dive into this. Again, we're taking